thank you for joining me for another IT Wire and Alex on Tech video. I'm here today with Bruce McGregor. He is the co-founder and CEO of Adhocracy Consulting. Welcome to the program.
Hi Alex, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, thanks
now,
for having me.
You're based in Brisbane. You're a new company, a few months old, and you're a digital disruptive consultancy. And you declare that digital transformation is dead. So tell us about yourself and tell us about Adhocracy Consulting.
Yeah, sure. Adhocracy Consulting is it's a firm that we've seen how digital transformations go, and in fact we've been part of that. And what we saw was that the industry would take on massive projects. And as a result of that, we also saw, whilst there's been really good outputs, there's also a lot of things that have gone wrong. And so we started to see how we could do things better with the customer. And so our view is that when we talk about digital transformation is dead, we talk about trying to make sure that we can achieve a digital transformation, or really a service transformation, and we do that by doing smaller bits, and as a result, a continuous improvement approach really comes out of that line of thinking versus trying to do really a big bang approach to what customers are trying to achieve.
Now, I guess you've just explained it there, but what is your definition of digital transformation, and then what does service transformation add on top of that? Even though more or less just explain
that. For us, digital transformation is organisations that are trying to solve a problem using technology. So whatever that problem is, declining revenue or increasing cost in their operation, they're looking to try and use technology to solve some of those problems. Holus bolus, that's how we consider it, but that's why we change it a little bit, and we talk about not just digital, we talk about service. We talk about from a customer point of view, of which digital is just an element of it. I think that's really important to make that differentiation, because under digital, you might just actually start to head down a path of transformation that may not completely suit the needs of the customer or the problems that you're trying to solve as an organisation.
Digital transformation is usually just this big buzzword that from what you're saying, encompasses everything. And then, it seems to me that companies have been on this path for some time. We had the internet coming along in the late 90s, and the whole web services 1.0 in the early 2000s, and now we're here in 2017, and maybe there are companies who've sort of started down this path and now have to start again because the technology has changed underneath their feet. Their system that was up to date 5 years ago is now out of date. And
the reason we see a lot of that is it comes back to a really simple thing. It comes back to the customer. So in the transformation programs that we've been involved in, we have talked to a lot of different organisations, and it is amazing to see the simple question that I always ask. So people are asking us about how do we do it, where do we start? And I just ask a very simple question: have you spoken to a customer? And it is frightening to see the response where there's either a look of fear come over the person that I'm talking to, or the answer is, yeah, we do, and we're talking to such and such in the contact centre who's talked to customers for the last 15 years. That's not cool. That's not good enough. You've got to actually go out with a true positive intent and go talk to a customer. And that's really simple to say, but for organisations, it's really difficult to do. Now that's changing, but the reality is when you go talk to a customer, 9 times out of 10, or a large amount, they may not have great things to say about you and your organisation, and that's confronting. So I think that element of customer to help enable the success of the transformation that you're trying to do is super important. And it's certainly the way that we talk to our customers about transformation. And I think by doing that, we will start to see that transformations probably become more back into a level of success and outcome and outputs that is more beneficial than probably what we see or read about in the press, etc. So it's pretty simple, but at the end of it, you've got to talk to a customer.
It sounds like some companies have been railroaded by salespeople who are talking to board members who are part of a committee that does digital transformation and all that strategy by committee, by the number, as opposed to what you're saying is going and actually seeing what the pain points are for the customer and how your transformation efforts can eliminate those, not just for the customer but for yourself too.
Yeah, and I think it's all with positive intent. I don't think anyone's trying to be malicious, but you've got to go back to the pain point and really understand it and identify it, because that's the thing that you're going to measure the program of work that you're about to do to see if it's been a success or not. So it's one thing to think about that we've got as an organisation legacy, technology, etc. All organisations have that, and so the element of the suppliers that come in to help you transform are super important. We talk with our customers. We sort of encourage and coach to, in this space, don't think of suppliers. I encourage our customers to think of those organisations as partners. Bring them to your steering committee. Bring all of your partners together. Show a level of collaboration so that they can understand the output of what you're trying to achieve as well, versus just selling you a software and a licensed solution. And in our experience, we've seen that really work. We've had customers with many what would be traditional competitors in a room at a steer coat, but they're all working on a same goal for a customer outcome. And when that happens, and when it's successful, everyone wins. So it's moving that relationship as well to sort of reset it to go, yes, contracts and suppliers, but think of them as a partner who's going to help you achieve the outcome that you're looking for.
And are you doing any of the work yourself with your own staff, or are you like a project manager that helps companies, consults with them, listens to them, gets all the right people together and gets those partners to do the transformation work?
Yeah.
But you're sort of there managing, steering it for the company, or have you got guys yourself, IT guys yourself?
We're doing both at the moment. We have a delivery element in our business, and just on that, we're involved in projects. We make sure though the projects that we work on have a really important amount of collaboration with the organisation. So one of the things that we're really big on is to make sure that the knowledge management and the skills that are built through the project or the transformation go back into the business. We don't go in so we can then just stay there for months and years on end. If you engage with Adhocracy, you want us in to do a job, and then really you want to get us out of there, and we want to get out of there too. And we want to do that with knowledge and skill set transformation or transfer back into the business. So there's that delivery aspect, but then also there's the advisory piece as well. So talking to the MDs and the CEOs, our top 5 transformation tips and tricks, what we've learned, and helping them understand and guide the way that they need to go and think about how to tackle the transformation piece that's coming up. So, and it's here actually where the digital transformation buzzword, we sort of try and move aside. We talk about smaller projects, which is smaller risk, with a bite-sized piece that you can prove and show
and build upon.
And build upon, and bring that back in and continuously evolve on that.
It's almost like chunking a big problem down into smaller chunks, and then eating that elephant bite by bite rather than trying to shove the whole thing in your mouth in one go.
Yeah, I mean the my other partner, the other co-founder of Adhocracy Consulting, Steve is one of the world's regard agile leaders, and he advocates really strongly that if you want to decrease big transformation risk, do smaller programs and put an agile element through it, and just continue to work piece by piece. That's really important when you're trying to navigate as a board or an executive leadership team of how to bite this piece off and bring the proof point back into the business. Because once you start to do that, then you start to get a level of cadence and confidence that the organisation can achieve what they're trying to do. And the other great piece about that is if you steer or pivot to a wrong direction, you just come back. You don't get to the end, and then you've got to start all again. And I think that's an element of why we see a lot of the media of the big transformation failures over the last couple of years, because they've got right to the end. Perhaps didn't talk to a customer, and it's not the outcome that they were expecting. So, yeah, that's a pretty the executives that we talk to seem to really like that approach because the risk element is much lower.
It sounds like common sense, but then you have the old adage that it's not so common, so that's where consultancy groups can step in and bring some of that common sense back.
Well, it is, but at the heart of it though, talk to a customer.
Yeah.
So if you find a piece of your business that you want to understand more about of what this digital transformation could mean, think of it from a service experience, look at the pain points, go talk to customers, and with that, you'll also find opportunity points as well, things that do go well. You know, not all organisations have got pain points everywhere and no opportunity points, but bring that back. It's confronting information, but bring it back so you can decide on where best you can put your effort, deliver the value and show it. And if you bring that back to the customer element, you're on a winning streak from a common sense point of view, well ahead of the pack in general.
Is Adhocracy Consulting facilitating meetings between companies and their customers, or are they doing that themselves?
No, we play a role in that.
Because you must be really helping both sides to draw the most information out of each other.
Yeah, absolutely. We sit with our customers, we understand how they can even find their customers. If you talk to an organisation and say, go get me a customer, it's actually quite difficult to do. We have an organisation that we're working with at the moment, and you know, they have customers all over Australia. And they're asking us, you know, how many customers do we talk to? And that's not the right question. The question they should be asking is, how many do we need to talk to get a trend or an insight? That might be 2 customers, that could be 20 customers. And then once they sort of understand that they do have to go talk to customers, you have to find them. And that's a really interesting thing. And there's every organisation is very creative in the way that they do that. But the point being is to actually get that feedback and bring it back and go, see, that's real, that's true, that's not someone making it up. So that, yeah, we help facilitate in that. We had a customer last year whereby to get the customer insight, we went to a Reese bathroom showcase as the doors opened at 6 a.m. in the morning with a set of iPads to show these plumbers a new experience. And we had chocolate milk and, you know, barbecue with sausages and bread. And it was just a unique way because we had to capture the attention of these customers who had a really busy day ahead.
Yeah, not having them checking their phones whilst you're, you know.
That's right. Yeah. And that was just a really intuitive and ingenious way that they get a chocolate milk, they get a sausage, they give us some feedback, and then they keep going. So you can be as creative as you want in trying to figure out how to get that customer insight, just as long as you do.
So Bruce, what was a little bit of your background and that of your co-founder that led you guys to go, hey, there's a problem here that we can solve, and no one else is doing it, and we're going to do it? So
yeah, look, so we've been leading, and if I talk for myself, I've been involved in major transformation projects for a number of years now. So
plenty of experience.
Yep.
Government, and then business.
Yeah, in government in the last number of years, so in Queensland and then in New South Wales prior to that. And then my background before that is always been in telcos, which is quite fascinating that all of that, those many years ago, that now the device that we use and have in our pocket is so fundamental to every interaction that we have.
And for many of the projects and programs and internal processes and customer-facing things, it's all happening on the phone.
That's it. So you have to design for that. You have to design for all of your other channels. So it's amazing of how it all sort of links back to the device and the mobile device from many years ago. My co-founder, very similar big project work, but all across the globe, working into Lords over in the UK and some of the big financial institutions as well. So we've been involved in this space and we've seen a lot and it's been fantastic, but we always saw that it was just so big. And again, that risk factor comes up. And so we wanted to see how we could bring our experience together to go, look, it doesn't have to be a big bang approach. It has to be about the customer and start small. And so
and
that's
results and milestones.
That's
and
right. Yeah,
points.
it needs to be measured. It needs to be clear. It needs to be time-based. All of those key things, which, funnily enough, really drives towards the methodology of Agile. Which before I started to work with the co-founder, I with Steve, I had a different view on Agile, that it was out there doing whatever you like, and it's absolutely not. It's very hard, measured, fast, and it's just rapid. And so we thought that together we could do that pretty well, and so Adhocracy Consulting was born. Yeah.
And so, if you can't mention specific customers, I mean, what are the industries that you've been?
Yeah.
You have customers in that you're helping right now, and if you can mention customers, please do.
Yeah, no. So we have customers in New South Wales in the insurance industry. We've got customers in government in Queensland and Victoria, and we're starting to play in the oil and gas space, which is really interesting as well, because that's big machinery pieces, and we're in there talking about emotion-based design and customers, and that's an amazing little project that we've got going on, which I think we're going to have a lot of fun with over the next period of time. So we're not stuck in one industry. We go where the pain points are and where customers need help, and that's across many industries, corporate and government. So
and so what's emotion-based design?
Emotion-based design is an evolution for customer-based design. So maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the concept of journey map, a customer's experience, was relatively new, and it's an incredibly powerful tool. So we, with our customers, have done a lot of customer-based design and customer journey mapping, and that's been a really important piece of educating organisations about the customer. We started to see, though, through customer-based design, that you could do a little bit more and mapping the emotion. So, on hindsight, you sort of look back, and everything that we do and we buy is based on the emotion that we have. So as customers are experiencing the product or service with our customers, or their customers of our customers, you start to track the emotion. And typically the emotion on the customer experience of the as-is can be ranked. It can be ranked from 0, which is not great, to 10, which is fantastic. So you map these emotions out and you start to track it. Typically, the emotions the customers experience that are sometimes not great, and sometimes they're a great opportunity, where you go to a 10, and that's an opportunity point. But the key point being is it brings a level of measurement into the customer experience, which can sometimes be a little bit fluffy, and so it brings the emojis and the post-it notes of the journey walls right back to a hard metric. The trick then is taking that and then through an iterative delivery sense, go back and then retest with your new process or your new service back to the customer and map and measure their emotion again. That should move, and hopefully it moves in the right direction. The great thing about that is then you're measuring 2 key data points of the as-is and the to-be. And if you can bring that together, that gives you a level of insight and also a measurement, black and white, which the executives and the boardrooms really like to see, which is really important. So emotion maps it right back to the pain points and the opportunity points, and measure it and you track it. And then as continuous improvement goes through, over time you want to see that going northwards or to the metrics that you're after.
And when you say you do this testing, is this testing being done with customers that are wanting to beta test a new app that you've helped a company to develop, or is it just in the app that you put out and there's some sort of analytics in the background that is seeing how hard someone's mashing the screen? Or how are you doing this testing?
Great question. So it's not really the UAT type of testing. It's actually, and what's really hard to do but highly valuable, is going back to the same customer. And sometimes that's practically not possible, but it's going back out and talking to the customers, go, now how did you experience this versus the last time? Is this working piece of software that we've built very quickly in the last 2 weeks, is it what you wanted? How does it make you feel or experience versus what you did? Are
you also able to, like I noticed with the newest versions of Office 365, there's a little smiley face or something, and you can click on that and you can give live feedback. So in the apps because I'm assuming that you're also helping companies to create apps, whether for internal or external, as part of this digital transformation. Because it's not necessarily all apps, can be various things on their computer, but things are being digitized, processes are being done in a more streamlined way. I mean, is there an opportunity that you might have a little smiley face button on it that's live to customers, or some customers, if not all of them, to say, hey, we just changed this. How do you like it?
That's exactly right, and I think that then comes back to why continuous improvement is so critical, because if you start to see a trend of some real-time feedback coming in, you want the capability and scalability in that aspect to pivot to that and address it.
Yeah, I mean, you want both. You want to be able to ask customers in the field and go back to them.
Yeah.
And if you can have some real-time up feedback as well, which I don't know if you're doing, but so much the better.
No, that's right. We are.
Yeah.
So some of our customers do that, and that's to have that capability and then to see feedback come in and deal
faster.
with it. Yeah. Again, another example, as a result of putting feedback in and being able to collate feedback real time from one of our customers, complaints, compliments, suggestions, inquiries, a really simple thing. We started to see an insight that there was a common complaint about a piece of content on our customer's website.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a really simple thing to do, but as a result of that and the ability to quickly pivot, going over to the knowledge management team to update the article, to push it out onto the CMS or the website, and then track, and very quickly you start to see that level of complaint going down. So that capability to react quite quickly, it's a really small yet simple thing, but it's incredibly powerful, because all of a sudden, in that aspect, the customer is not hitting the contact center asking the same question, and then staff are getting annoyed because it's the same thing. It's a very quick, continuous improvement methodology that fixes what a customer complained, and the business continues to move on.
Do you have a series of cloud services and development environments and APIs that you like working with, or do you work with whatever the customer works with?
We work with what the customer generally is working with. I mean,
you must make suggestions too.
Yeah, we do. So, and the way that we run our programs, we use the Atlassian suite of products. We do that one because we know it really well, but also the power of those type of products is that we share those dashboards and the sprints and the burn down charts with our customers.
I mean, your customers are the ones that you're listening to first, because they're your customers.
Yeah,
so you have to go through this whole process yourself with each customer.
Correct. So that's it's a classic case that doctors never go see anyone because they're when they're sick. You've got to, even when we advocate the need to listen to our customers, or our customers need to listen to their customers, we have to do the same.
You have to prove it.
Yeah. So we found that those type of suite of services offer a lot of transparency. So any time that our customers have a concern about the project that we're working with them on, or have a question, they can look at the dashboards, they can see it, and then they can ask us a question, and that comes back to sort of the collaboration piece that I spoke about before, with suppliers, partners, not suppliers, those type of things. So yeah.
You're trying to be proactive with them, and they're trying to be proactive with you. So
yeah.
And it means more efficiency, really.
Anything that we can find that does the job and is cloud-based and we can work 24/7 is the way to go. It's the way that organisations are working. It's the way that we work.
Now we're getting towards the end of the interview. I've got 3 questions that I always ask as per standard, but I just wanted to ask you, what are the top mistakes that you see people making in their, digital and work transformation efforts that, I guess that you are specifically helping with?
Well, one we covered, but I'll just, talk to your customer. Find the customer, not the person who deals with the centre that looks after customers. The other one is, and this is a bit of a tough one, is the leadership piece. So it's important that as organisations look at their transformation journey, that there is a leader. There is a single person right at the very top who is advocating the change to happen. If you don't have that leadership support in place, don't do it. Because transformation journeys, even under continuous improvement, are long and they're hard. They're full of risk.
Yeah. If it was easy,
everyone would be doing.
You wouldn't need Adhocracy consulting. You just be doing it. Yeah.
So that piece of the leader right at the very top that's going to back it, that's the person that when it gets hard and everyone wants to give up, is the person that stands up and reaffirms the purpose and the strategy of why they started the transformation in the first place. If that's not there, then that's a problem. That would be probably the biggest thing that I would advocate, to find your leader, talk to your customer and chunk it down, find a bite-sized piece and prove it and measure it and then bring it back. That's how we think is the best way to attack some of this stuff.
So how do you think the business will look in 10 years if you look in the crystal ball? Probably there'll still be people undertaking a digital transformation journey in 2027, seeing as there are still people doing it today.
Yeah.
And I used to dream of the year 2000. Here we are, 17 years later, and we're still things are still just beginning. I mean, it's
yeah, and I would hope, if firms like ours do a really good job, that you'll be seeing organisations that are transforming. And it's just happening day in and day out. It's the continuous piece. It's not big bang.
They're used to it.
They're used to it.
Change is the only constant in the universe.
And
they
also,
should be well used to it, I think.
Correct, but also their customers are saying, hey, I gave some feedback and I think it's been taken on board because I can see a change in the service experience of whatever I'm consuming. I think that's really powerful, that people then walk away and go, okay, something happened.
Yeah.
I wasn't just an empty email that went into a big black box and never to be seen again. My supplier or me as a customer, I was engaged for a purpose and a reason. I gave the feedback and it was acted upon. I think I hope that'll be what we start to see well before 2027. But yeah, I think that's the way it's got to go.
And so one of the questions I always like to ask, and it's sort of just changing the subject, but it's just simply to ask you, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received to help you get where you are today?
Yeah, the best piece of advice I ever received, and to be honest, I can't remember who told me, but it served me well, is that it doesn't matter how big the problem is today, and go home, have a good night's sleep, and wake up, and the answer will be there tomorrow. If you can't solve it today, you'll be able to solve it tomorrow. And I know that sounds like really quite simple, but there's in big transformation programs that I've led, to go home and there's issues or things not working, go home, get a good night's sleep and attack it tomorrow. And I think that has worked really well for me. We talk about it in our teams to try and make sure that we can if we can't answer it today, we'll answer it tomorrow. And so yeah, that's a piece of advice that sort of sticks with me. Yeah. Day in and day out.
It's like giving your subconscious or superconscious mind the command overnight whilst you sleep to try and come up with the answer for you, which I've heard from other people. It also dovetails with that advice that if you got an email to send that you're not sure whether you should be hitting send, it should also wait for the next day.
Well, we're all guilty. We're all guilty of that, and I think through age and experience, I've learned to hit the save draft and read it in the morning and probably delete it.
But also with that whole come up with the answer the next day. I mean, it's just look before you leap. Don't rush into things. It's wise advice to pause sometimes.
I think so, and there's so much pressure to drive these big outcomes, and everything needs to be done. But if you can't have clarity of thought, that can cause you a problem. And
Bigger
I think,
problems,
yeah. So to get that, you'll see an insight. You'll have an idea that goes, that might be a way today that will tackle to solve that problem. And in my experience, that's happened the most to get me out of trouble, to go, yep, we found a problem, resolved it, and keep moving on.
So what's your final message to IT Wire viewers and readers, and for your current and future customers?
My final message is, if you're thinking about transformation, chunk it down. As I said, big projects bring big risks. Don't take on the big risks. Take on less risks, do smaller projects. By doing that, talk to a customer. Don't be afraid to talk to a customer and see what they have to say. In my experience, when you tackle it with a level of intent and authenticity, doesn't matter how bad your service experience is, most times customers are generally appreciative that you actually even ask the question. So you might have to go through a period of time where they rant and rave at you for 5-10 minutes when you're talking to them face to face. Suck it up, because the insight that you will get after that is the value that you will continue to hold on to. So talk to a customer. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid what they're going to say, but use it. And then thirdly, the other point, if you're running around and trying to do this and you don't have a leader find one.
Yeah.
And that might mean going elsewhere, but find one, because you need your leader at the very top to back you all the way.
Well, Bruce McGregor, thank you very much for explaining why you believe digital transformation is dead and what is replacing it, which sounds actually pretty good. And best of luck for the future. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alex. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.